Rugby Australia has encouraged people to vote for an Indigenous voice to Parliament because, and I quote, "it could engender more national pride than any sporting achievement." Which begs the question, what does Rugby Australia know about sporting achievement? The last time we won the Rugby World Cup was in 1999. Australian back rower Langy Gleeson wasn't even born when Australia last tasted ultimate success on the rugby field. Rugby Australia's claim that a yes vote at the national referendum will bring more pride than a sporting achievement presupposes they know something about sporting achievement. They do, however, know about the importance of giving minority groups a voice, or rather, removing their voice. The last time Rugby Australia decided to get involved in politics was to shut down the voice of star player Israel Folau for daring to publish his religious views on social media. Folau, when asked a question online about God's plan for homosexuals, said he believed gays would go to hell unless they sought forgiveness. Well, all hell did break loose against Israel Folau. Suddenly, a footballer's opinion about the afterlife created more outrage at rugby headquarters than the fact that Australia hadn't won a Rugby World Cup in decades. Then Australian rugby boss Raylene Castle said Folau's religious belief about eternal judgment had been, and I quote, "the singularly most difficult thing she'd ever had to deal with." It wasn't a problem that rugby, unlike AFL, was not on free-to-air television, and it wasn't a problem that New Zealand Rugby had asked the ARU to reduce the number of Australian Super Rugby teams because they were worried about the poor standard of our players. No, the greatest challenge to rugby union in this country was a fullback's musings on eternal damnation. The problem, you see, were the sponsors. A Qantas spokesperson said Folau's comments were disappointing. Well, God forbid that any of us hold religious views that might disappoint an airline. So Rugby Australia acted at the behest of sponsors to rid themselves of their best player in what became a publicity and legal nightmare, costing the code millions in lawyers' fees and many more millions in a settlement with Folau. So you'd think Rugby Australia might have learned to stay out of politics. Their 511-word statement advocating a yes vote for the voice begins with a rhetorical question. What business does a sporting body have, you might ask, making political statements? But supporting the right of a Tongan Christian to have his voice was going to cost Rugby Australia, and they weren't ready to pay that price, any more than they've been ready to win a World Cup. Now, however, with everything to gain, not least of which includes government funding for hosting the 2027 World Cup, Rugby Australia do believe minority groups deserve a voice. Isn't it funny how voices are suddenly supported when it's politically convenient to do so?